You are now listening to Catherine Ponder's The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity 21st Century Edition, brought to you by Reimagine Audio. Introduction. Prosperity in an age of infinite possibility. Never before in human history has so much opportunity been available to so many people. A person can start a business from a smartphone. An idea can travel around the world in seconds. Knowledge that once required years of searching is now available instantly. Technology has connected humanity in ways previous generations could scarcely imagine. Yet despite these advances, many people continue to struggle with the same challenges that have existed for centuries: fear, scarcity, doubt, limitation, financial uncertainty. The tools have changed, the laws have not. Prosperity has always operated according to principles that transcend time, geography, economics, and technology. These principles existed before the internet, before social media, before artificial intelligence, before digital currencies, before global marketplaces, and they will continue to operate long after today's innovations have been replaced by tomorrow's. The purpose of this book is not to teach trends. Trends come and go. The purpose of this book is to reveal the timeless laws that govern prosperity and show how they apply in the modern world. Many people mistakenly believe prosperity is primarily about money. Money is certainly one expression of prosperity, but it is not prosperity itself. Prosperity is a state of increase. It is the continual expansion of life expressing itself through you. It includes wealth, but it also includes health, peace, opportunity, relationships, creativity, purpose, freedom. A person may have money and lack prosperity. A person may possess material possessions and still feel impoverished. Likewise, a person may possess little today and still carry within them the consciousness that creates abundance tomorrow. Everything begins within. This has always been the foundation of prosperity teaching. The outer world reflects the inner world. Conditions follow consciousness. Results follow belief. Experience follows expectation. The 21st century has not changed these truths. It has merely accelerated them. Technology magnifies thought. Social media amplifies influence. Digital networks expand opportunity. Artificial intelligence increases leverage. But none of these tools determine prosperity. They only magnify the consciousness of the person using them. An abundant mind can create extraordinary opportunities from modern tools. A scarcity-minded person can remain limited despite unlimited access. This is why prosperity remains an inside-out process. The greatest prosperity revolution of the 21st century is not technological. It is psychological. It is the realization that the most valuable asset a person possesses is not their bank account, not their business, not their education, not even their network. Their greatest asset is their consciousness. Everything flows from it. Throughout this book, you will discover that prosperity is not a mystery. It is not luck. It is not reserved for a chosen few. It is the natural result of cooperating with universal laws. These laws govern thought, expectation, value, circulation, faith, stewardship, influence, multiplication, and abundance. You will learn how these principles operate in a world where information moves instantly, opportunities emerge rapidly, and success increasingly belongs to those who can align timeless wisdom with modern action. You are not reading this book because prosperity is absent from your life. You are reading it because prosperity is seeking a greater expression through your life. The journey begins now. Welcome to the Dynamic Laws of Prosperity, 21st Century Edition. The laws are timeless. The opportunities are modern. The possibilities are limitless. Chapter 1. The Law of Mental Currency. Everything in the modern world begins twice, first in the mind, then in reality. This principle has not changed since the dawn of civilization, but its importance has become even more apparent in the 21st century. Today, fortunes are built from ideas. Companies worth billions of dollars begin as concepts. Innovations that transform industries start as thoughts. Entire movements emerge from a single vision held strongly enough by an individual who refuses to let it go. In previous generations, physical resources often determined opportunity. Today, mental resources frequently determine opportunity. The modern economy rewards creativity, innovation, adaptability, and vision. The most valuable currency of the 21st century is not money, it is thought. Thought precedes action. Action produces results. Results create prosperity. This is why the quality of your thinking ultimately determines the quality of your outcomes. Every day, people deposit thousands of thoughts into the mental bank account of their subconscious mind. Some thoughts are assets. Others are liabilities. Some thoughts create expansion. Others create contraction. Some thoughts increase confidence. Others diminish it. Most people monitor their bank accounts more carefully than they monitor their thinking. Yet one account largely determines the condition of the other. A person who constantly thinks thoughts of limitation often creates behaviors that reinforce limitation. A person who consistently entertains thoughts of possibility tends to notice opportunities that others overlook. This is not magic. It is mental conditioning. The mind naturally seeks evidence for what it already accepts as true. When you expect opportunity, you become more aware of opportunity. When you expect obstacles, you become more aware of obstacles. The world often appears to confirm whatever perspective you repeatedly hold. The 21st century has amplified this phenomenon. Algorithms feed you more of what captures your attention. Social media reinforces your existing beliefs. Digital environments often mirror your dominant focus. In many ways, modern technology reflects a timeless spiritual principle. What you consistently focus upon tends to expand within your experience. This does not mean you should ignore challenges. Prosperity consciousness is not denial. It is disciplined focus. It is the ability to acknowledge difficulties without allowing them to become your identity. The prosperous thinker understands that circumstances are temporary. Potential is permanent. Conditions may fluctuate. Possibilities remain. This distinction changes everything. A person experiencing financial challenges may conclude, "I am poor." Another person facing the same circumstances may conclude, "I am currently experiencing a financial challenge." The first statement creates identity. The second describes a condition. Conditions can change. Identity tends to perpetuate itself. Prosperity begins when people stop identifying with temporary circumstances and start identifying with their potential for expansion. Every great achievement begins with a mental image. Every successful business begins with a possibility. Every meaningful breakthrough begins with someone believing something more is available. Before prosperity appears externally, it appears internally as vision. Vision is one of the most underappreciated forms of wealth. People often think wealth creates vision. In reality, vision frequently creates wealth. A person who can see possibilities where others see limitations possesses an extraordinary advantage. History repeatedly demonstrates this truth. Innovators see opportunities. Entrepreneurs see solutions. Leaders see possibilities. Creators see futures before they become realities. They are not necessarily smarter than everyone else. They simply train their minds differently. The law of mental currency teaches that thoughts are not merely mental events. They are seeds. Every thought carries creative potential. Every repeated thought strengthens a pattern. Every dominant thought contributes to a future result. The question is not whether you are planting seeds. You are. The question is what kind of seeds you are planting. Are you investing in thoughts of expansion? Or are you accumulating thoughts of limitation? Are you rehearsing prosperity or rehearsing scarcity? Are you feeding vision or feeding fear? Your answers determine the direction of your future. In the 21st century, information is abundant. Attention is scarce. Mental discipline has become one of the most valuable prosperity skills a person can develop. Those who master their attention gain influence over their thoughts. Those who master their thoughts gain influence over their actions. Those who master their actions gain influence over their results. And those who consistently influence their results eventually create prosperity. Prosperity begins long before money arrives. It begins with the management of mental currency. For every fortune first exists as an idea, every achievement first exists as a possibility, and every prosperous life first exists as a prosperous way of thinking. Prosperity principle. Your thoughts are the currency from which your future is purchased. Invest them wisely. Chapter 2. The Law of Expectation. Life has a remarkable tendency to move in the direction of expectation. Not always immediately, not always perfectly, but consistently enough that those who understand this law begin to notice its influence everywhere. The law of expectation states, what you genuinely expect tends to influence what you experience. Expectation is more powerful than mere desire. Many people desire prosperity. Few truly expect it. Many desire success. Few genuinely anticipate it. Many desire opportunity. Few prepare for it as though it is already on the way. Desire asks, expectation receives. Desire hopes, expectation prepares. Desire wishes, expectation anticipates. This difference may seem subtle, but it creates enormous consequences. Imagine two people applying for the same opportunity. One secretly expects rejection. The other expects a favorable outcome. Both may complete the same application. Both may possess similar qualifications, yet their energy, confidence, communication, and behavior will often differ dramatically. Expectation influences posture. Expectation influences speech. Expectation influences decision-making. Expectation influences persistence. In many cases, expectation becomes a silent architect of results. The 21st century offers countless examples. Entrepreneurs launch businesses expecting growth. Investors place capital expecting returns. Athletes train expecting improvement. Authors publish books expecting readers. Creators upload content expecting audiences. Every act of achievement contains an element of expectation. Without expectation, effort becomes difficult to sustain. Why continue planting if no harvest is expected? Why continue building if no completion is anticipated? Why continue learning if no growth is believed possible? Expectation fuels perseverance. And perseverance often creates outcomes that appear impossible to those who quit too soon. This law operates whether expectations are positive or negative. A person who expects failure often behaves differently than a person who expects success. The one expecting failure may hesitate, delay, overanalyze, avoid risk, abandon opportunities prematurely. Meanwhile, the person expecting success is often willing to continue moving despite temporary setbacks. Over time, these behavioral differences accumulate. Small differences create larger outcomes. Large outcomes reinforce expectations, and expectations become self-perpetuating. This is why expectation must be managed consciously. Many individuals unknowingly inherit expectations, family expectations, cultural expectations, economic expectations, social expectations, past failure expectations. Without realizing it, they allow old conditioning to determine future possibilities. A child repeatedly told that success is difficult may grow into an adult who unconsciously expects struggle. A person raised around scarcity may expect limitation even after opportunities become available. An individual who has experienced disappointment may begin expecting disappointment. The subconscious mind often accepts repeated expectations as instructions. This is why prosperity requires intentional mental renewal. You cannot consistently expect limitation while hoping to create abundance. At some point, expectation and desire must align. The prosperous person learns to deliberately cultivate favorable expectations, not blind optimism, not fantasy, not denial. Constructive expectation. Constructive expectation is based upon possibility. It recognizes challenges while refusing to worship them. It acknowledges obstacles while remaining focused on solutions. It understands that circumstances are temporary, but potential is ongoing. The modern world provides extraordinary opportunities for those who understand this principle. Technology has democratized access to information. Global marketplaces have expanded opportunity. Artificial intelligence has increased leverage. Social platforms have multiplied visibility. The tools available today would have appeared miraculous to previous generations. Yet tools alone do not guarantee prosperity. Prosperity belongs to those who expect enough from life to engage fully with its opportunities. Many people live surrounded by abundance while expecting scarcity. Others begin with very little but expect growth. Over time, the difference becomes visible. One sees reasons things cannot work. The other sees ways they might. One anticipates obstacles. The other anticipates solutions. One prepares for disappointment. The other prepares for opportunity. Neither controls every outcome, but one positions themselves far more effectively for prosperity. Expectation also affects timing. People often abandon goals because results do not appear quickly. They assume delay means denial, yet prosperity frequently unfolds through processes. Seeds require time, skills require time, relationships require time, businesses require time. Growth requires time. Expectation allows people to remain committed long enough for invisible progress to become visible results. This may be one of the greatest prosperity advantages a person can possess, the ability to expect good long enough for good to arrive. Most people underestimate the power of consistent expectation. Yet every major accomplishment begins with someone believing a future. Reality can exist before evidence fully supports it. That belief influences action. Action creates momentum. Momentum produces outcomes. Outcomes reinforce belief. And the cycle continues. The law of expectation teaches that prosperity is not merely attracted by what you want. It is influenced by what you truly anticipate. When expectation changes, behavior changes. When behavior changes, results change. When results change, life changes. Prosperity often enters through the doorway of expectation long before it arrives, through the doorway of experience. Prosperity. Principle. Expect the good you seek, prepare for its arrival, and act as though opportunity is already moving in your direction. Chapter 3. The Law of Value Creation. One of the greatest prosperity shifts of the 21st century is this. People are no longer paid primarily for what they know. They are paid for the value they create. Knowledge is abundant. Information is everywhere. A person can learn almost anything with a few clicks. The advantage no longer belongs merely to those who possess information. The advantage belongs to those who can transform information into value. This is the law of value creation. Prosperity flows toward value. Money follows value. Opportunity follows value. Influence follows value. Growth follows value. The more value a person creates, the greater their potential prosperity. This principle is visible throughout nature. A fruit tree prospers because it produces fruit. A river prospers because it supplies water. The sun continually gives light. Nature itself demonstrates that increase follows contribution. The same principle operates in human affairs. The marketplace rewards solutions. Businesses are compensated because they solve problems. Professionals are compensated because they provide expertise. Creators are compensated because they offer ideas, entertainment, inspiration, or education. Entrepreneurs are compensated because they create products and services that improve people's lives. Prosperity grows wherever value is exchanged. Unfortunately, many people approach prosperity backward. They ask, how can I make more money? A more productive question is, how can I create more value? Money is often a byproduct. Value is the cause. Income is frequently the effect. Value is the source. When a person becomes focused on creating value, prosperity often follows naturally. This does not mean every valuable contribution immediately generates wealth. Seeds require time to mature. Relationships require time to develop. Reputations require time to establish. Trust requires time to earn. But value consistently compounds. The 21st century provides unprecedented opportunities for value creation. A single person can reach millions through digital platforms. A teacher can educate students across continents. A creator can inspire audiences worldwide. A consultant can serve clients globally. A writer can distribute ideas instantly. Technology has dramatically expanded the ability to create and distribute value. Yet many people remain trapped in a scarcity mindset. They ask, what can I get? Prosperity consciousness asks, what can I contribute? The first focuses on extraction. The second focuses on creation. Creation always possesses greater long-term power. The most prosperous individuals often become experts at solving problems. Problems represent opportunities disguised as challenges. Every inconvenience contains potential value. Every frustration reveals a possible solution. Every unmet need creates opportunity. Consider some of the largest companies in modern history. Many began by solving simple problems: transportation challenges, communication challenges, information challenges, convenience challenges. Their prosperity emerged because they created value at scale. This law applies whether a person runs a multinational corporation or works in a local community. The principle remains the same. Prosperity expands in proportion to useful contribution. A person who consistently improves the lives of others increases their own opportunities for prosperity. This is not merely economics. It is a universal principle. Giving precedes receiving. Contribution precedes compensation. Service precedes reward. The 21st century has also introduced a powerful multiplier known as leverage. Technology allows value to be replicated rapidly. One book can reach thousands. One video can reach millions. One innovation can benefit entire industries. One idea can generate opportunities for decades. This is why intellectual and creative value have become increasingly important. Your ideas may become assets. Your knowledge may become products. Your experiences may become lessons that help others. Your creativity may become opportunity. The modern prosperity landscape rewards those who can package value, communicate value, and distribute value. This does not mean everyone must become an entrepreneur. It means everyone can become a creator of value. Employees create value. Managers create value. Teachers create value. Parents create value. Artists create value. Leaders create value. The form differs. The principle remains. One of the greatest mistakes people make is undervaluing their unique contributions. They assume prosperity belongs to those with special advantages. Yet prosperity frequently belongs to those who recognize the value they already possess and develop it intentionally. Skills can be improved, knowledge can be expanded, talents can be refined, experience can be leveraged. Every person possesses the capacity to increase the value they contribute. Growth requires time. Expectation allows people to remain committed long enough for invisible progress to become visible results. This may be one of the greatest prosperity advantages a person can possess, the ability to expect good long enough for good to arrive. Most people underestimate the power of consistent expectation. Yet every major accomplishment begins with someone believing a future. Reality can exist before evidence fully supports it. That belief influences action. Action creates momentum. Momentum produces outcomes. Outcomes reinforce belief. And the cycle continues. The law of expectation teaches that prosperity is not merely attracted by what you want. It is influenced by what you truly anticipate. When expectation changes, behavior changes. When behavior changes, results change. When results change, life changes. Prosperity often enters through the doorway of expectation long before it arrives through the doorway of experience. Prosperity. Principle. Expect the good you seek, prepare for its arrival, and act as though opportunity is already moving in your direction. Chapter 4. The Law of Circulation. One of the greatest misconceptions about prosperity is the belief that abundance comes from holding on. In reality, abundance often comes from allowing things to flow. This is the law of circulation. Everything in life is designed to move. Blood circulates through the body. Water circulates through nature. Air circulates through the atmosphere. Energy circulates throughout creation. Even the cells of the human body are constantly renewing themselves. Life itself is movement. Prosperity follows the same principle. Money is not meant to stagnate. Ideas are not meant to stagnate. Opportunities are not meant to stagnate. Relationships are not meant to stagnate. Value is not meant to stagnate. Prosperity increases through healthy circulation. Many people unknowingly interrupt the flow of prosperity through fear. Fear causes contraction. Fear causes hoarding. Fear causes resistance. Fear causes people to cling so tightly to what they have that they block the arrival of what could come next. The 21st century has amplified both prosperity and fear. Economic uncertainty, rapid technological change, market fluctuations, global events. These conditions can tempt people to operate from scarcity rather than confidence. Yet history repeatedly demonstrates that prosperity belongs to those who continue participating in the flow of life. This does not mean recklessness. The law of circulation is not a justification for irresponsible spending or poor stewardship. Circulation is different from waste. Circulation is purposeful movement. Waste is careless movement. A prosperous person understands the difference. Money that is invested wisely circulates. Money used to develop skills circulates. Money used to create value circulates. Money used to build assets circulates. Money used to strengthen relationships circulates. Healthy circulation creates future opportunities. The same principle applies beyond finances. Many individuals seek opportunities while withholding encouragement. They seek support while refusing cooperation. They desire loyalty while failing to demonstrate loyalty. They seek generosity while practicing limitation. Life often reflects the patterns we participate in. When we contribute value, value tends to return. When we support others, support often appears. When we encourage growth, growth frequently finds its way back to us. The law is not always immediate, but it is remarkably consistent over time. One of the most powerful examples of circulation in the modern world is information. Knowledge grows through sharing, ideas expand through distribution, wisdom multiplies through communication. A single insight shared online can influence thousands of lives. A lesson taught once can create impact for generations. Unlike physical resources, many forms of value increase through circulation rather than decrease. The more they are shared, the more powerful they become. This is one reason why contribution has become such a significant prosperity force in the digital age. The modern economy increasingly rewards visibility. Visibility often rewards contribution. Contribution creates influence. Influence creates opportunity. Opportunity creates prosperity. All of it depends upon circulation. Relationships operate according to the same principle. Healthy relationships require exchange, trust, communication, support, appreciation, respect. When circulation stops, relationships weaken. When circulation thrives, relationships strengthen. Prosperity often enters through relationships. Opportunities often travel through people. Growth frequently arrives through connections. This is why prosperous individuals tend to invest heavily in relationships, not for manipulation, not for advantage, but because they understand that prosperity is often collaborative. Very few people achieve significant success entirely alone. Another aspect of circulation is giving. Many prosperity teachings emphasize giving because giving initiates movement. It signals abundance rather than lack. It demonstrates trust rather than fear. It communicates confidence rather than contraction. Giving does not always involve money. You can give encouragement. You can give attention. You can give knowledge. You can give service. You can give kindness. You can give time. Every act of giving participates in circulation, and circulation keeps prosperity alive. The 21st century provides extraordinary opportunities to participate in the flow of value. A person can share ideas globally, support causes instantly, teach others remotely, build communities online, create resources that benefit countless individuals. Never before has circulation been so accessible, yet the underlying principle remains unchanged. What flows tends to grow, what stagnates tends to decline. This law applies to finances, relationships, knowledge, creativity, opportunity, even personal growth. The prosperous person does not seek merely to accumulate, they seek to circulate wisely. They understand that prosperity is not a reservoir, it is a river. Rivers remain fresh because they flow. Prosperity remains alive for the same reason. The law of circulation teaches that abundance is not created by stopping movement. It is created by participating intelligently in it. Life rewards flow. Prosperity rewards circulation. And the person who learns to move with the current rather than against it often discovers that abundance was never meant to be chased. It was meant to flow. Prosperity principle. Prosperity grows where value circulates. Keep money, ideas, opportunities, and goodwill moving, and life often responds with increase. Chapter 5. The Law of Gratitude. Among all the prosperity principles, few are as misunderstood and as powerful as gratitude. Many people view gratitude as simple politeness, a pleasant habit, a social courtesy. But gratitude is far more than good manners. Gratitude is a state of consciousness. It is a way of perceiving life, and perception influences experience. This is the law of gratitude. What you appreciate tends to increase in significance within your life. The modern world is designed to attract attention toward what is missing. Advertising highlights what you lack. News emphasizes what is wrong. Social media often showcases what others possess. The result is that many people become highly skilled at noticing absence. They become experts at identifying deficiencies. What they do not have, what they have not accomplished, what has not happened yet, what remains unfinished. Over time, this focus conditions the mind towards scarcity. Gratitude reverses that process. It trains the mind to recognize abundance. It shifts attention from lack to supply, from deficiency to possibility, from complaint to appreciation. This does not mean ignoring challenges. Prosperity consciousness never requires self-deception. Gratitude simply expands awareness. It allows a person to acknowledge difficulties while also recognizing blessings. A person can face obstacles and remain grateful. A person can encounter setbacks and remain appreciative. A person can experience temporary lack and still recognize existing abundance. This balanced perspective changes the emotional atmosphere of the mind, and emotional atmosphere influences behavior. Behavior influences results. Results influence prosperity. Many people postpone gratitude until after prosperity arrives. They say, "I'll be grateful when I make more money. I'll be grateful when things improve. I'll be grateful when my goals are achieved." But gratitude is not merely a response to prosperity. It is often a contributor to prosperity. Gratitude changes how people show up in the world. Grateful individuals tend to communicate differently. They tend to build stronger relationships. They tend to notice opportunities more readily. They tend to persevere more effectively. They tend to operate from confidence rather than desperation. The 21st century provides endless examples of this principle. Consider two individuals facing identical circumstances. One focuses continually on problems. The other acknowledges challenges, but remains thankful for resources, possibilities, and progress. Which individual is more likely to remain motivated? Which individual is more likely to attract cooperation? Which individual is more likely to continue pursuing solutions? The answer is obvious. Gratitude strengthens resilience, and resilience often precedes prosperity. Another reason gratitude is so powerful is that it shifts attention toward existing resources. Many people overlook the abundance already present in their lives: skills, knowledge, relationships, experiences, talents, opportunities, health, time, creativity. These resources often become the building blocks of future prosperity, yet they remain underutilized because attention is fixed on what is absent. Gratitude reveals hidden assets. The grateful person sees resources where others see limitations. They see opportunities where others see obstacles. They see possibilities where others see problems. This perspective creates a powerful advantage. The digital age has created unprecedented opportunities, but it has also created unprecedented comparison. People constantly compare their lives to curated images of success. Someone always appears wealthier, more successful, more accomplished, more visible. Comparison breeds dissatisfaction. Dissatisfaction breeds scarcity thinking. Scarcity thinking blocks prosperity. Gratitude interrupts this cycle. It returns attention to the present moment. It restores awareness of existing abundance. It reminds people that prosperity is not merely measured by possessions. It is measured by perception. Two people may possess similar resources. One feels rich, the other feels deprived. The difference is often consciousness. Gratitude also enhances relationships. People naturally appreciate those who appreciate them. Teams function better when appreciation circulates. Families thrive when gratitude is expressed. Businesses grow when customers feel valued. Relationships strengthen when recognition is present. And because prosperity frequently travels through relationships, gratitude indirectly contributes to opportunity. A grateful heart often becomes a magnet for cooperation. One of the most overlooked aspects of gratitude is its ability to create emotional wealth. Money without peace is not prosperity. Success without fulfillment is not prosperity. Achievement without appreciation is not prosperity. True prosperity includes the capacity to enjoy what has already been received. Without gratitude, even abundance can feel insufficient. With gratitude, even modest beginnings can feel rich. This is why gratitude remains one of the most dynamic prosperity laws. It changes attention. Attention changes perception. Perception changes behavior. Behavior changes outcomes. And outcomes shape experience. The grateful person is not grateful because everything is perfect. They are grateful because they understand a profound truth. Abundance becomes more visible when appreciation becomes more consistent. The law of gratitude teaches that prosperity begins not with acquiring more, but with recognizing more. And often, when recognition expands, increase follows. Prosperity principle. Gratitude transforms what you have into evidence of abundance and prepares your mind to receive even more. Chapter 6. The Law of Faith in Action. Every great prosperity story contains a moment when someone moved forward before they had complete certainty. They acted before all the evidence appeared. They committed before every question was answered. They stepped forward while the outcome remained unseen. This is the law of faith in action. Prosperity responds to movement. Many people misunderstand faith. They view faith as passive belief, hopeful waiting, positive wishing. Yet genuine faith is active. It expresses itself through action. It demonstrates itself through commitment. It reveals itself through movement. Faith is not merely believing something can happen. Faith is behaving as though it can. The 21st century rewards this principle more than ever. Opportunities emerge rapidly. Industries evolve quickly. Technology changes constantly. The people who thrive are often those willing to move before everything is perfectly clear. This does not mean acting recklessly. Faith is not gambling. Faith is not irresponsibility. Faith is not blind optimism. Faith is intelligent action taken despite uncertainty. The reality is that certainty rarely arrives first. Action often comes first. Clarity frequently follows movement. Think about every major decision in life. Starting a business, changing careers, writing a book, launching a project, entering a relationship, learning a new skill. None of these decisions come with guarantees. If people waited for complete certainty, very little would ever be accomplished. At some point, faith becomes necessary, not because the future is known, but because the future is unknowable. Many people become trapped in what could be called the paralysis of preparation. They prepare endlessly, research endlessly, analyze endlessly, plan endlessly. Meanwhile, opportunities pass by. Preparation is valuable, but preparation alone does not produce prosperity. Eventually, action becomes necessary. A seed kept permanently in storage never becomes a harvest. Potential unrealized remains potential. Faith transforms potential into progress. This principle is visible throughout nature. Birds leave the nest. Seeds break open underground. Trees grow toward sunlight they cannot yet reach. Life itself continually moves toward expansion. Prosperity follows the same pattern. Growth requires movement. Movement requires trust. Trust requires faith. The modern world often encourages the illusion that everything can be controlled. Predictive algorithms, data analytics, market forecasts, artificial intelligence, advanced planning systems. These tools are valuable, but none eliminate uncertainty. the future remains partially unknown, and because uncertainty remains, faith remains necessary. One of the greatest prosperity skills a person can develop is learning to act without needing perfect conditions. Many dreams remain unrealized because people are waiting for confidence, waiting for resources, waiting for permission, waiting for ideal timing, waiting for certainty. Yet prosperity often favors those who begin with what they have, where they are, right now. The successful entrepreneur rarely begins with everything. The successful author rarely writes the perfect first draft. The successful investor rarely enters at the perfect moment. The successful leader rarely feels completely ready. They begin anyway. Action creates momentum. Momentum creates confidence. Confidence creates greater action, and prosperity often emerges from the cycle. Another important aspect of faith is persistence. Many people can act once. Fewer can continue acting when immediate results fail to appear. This is where faith becomes transformative. Faith allows a person to continue planting when the harvest is not yet visible. Continue building when progress feels slow. Continue learning when mastery feels distant. Continue believing when evidence appears limited. The 21st century has intensified the desire for immediate results, instant communication, instant entertainment, instant information, instant delivery. People increasingly expect instant outcomes, yet prosperity still follows many of the same rhythms it always has. Skills require development. Trust requires cultivation. Businesses require growth. Relationships require investment. Character requires refinement. Faith allows individuals to remain committed to processes that cannot be rushed. This is one of its greatest powers. Faith sustains effort long enough for results to emerge. The law of faith in action also teaches that prosperity is cooperative. You take a step. Life responds. You create value. Opportunity appears. You move forward. New possibilities emerge. You act. Momentum develops. The path often reveals itself through participation. Many people want to see the entire staircase before taking the first step. Prosperity frequently works differently. The next step becomes visible after the current step is taken. Then another appears, then another, and eventually what once seemed impossible becomes reality. Every meaningful achievement begins with movement. Not perfect movement, not fearless movement, not guaranteed movement, simply movement. The person who acts, despite uncertainty, possesses a tremendous advantage over the person who waits for certainty before acting, because certainty is often the result of action, not its prerequisite. The law of faith in action reminds us that prosperity does not merely favor those who believe, it favors those who believe enough to move. The future belongs not only to dreamers, it belongs to dreamers who take action. Prosperity. Principle. Faith becomes powerful when it moves from belief into action. Take the step you can see and trust that the next step will reveal itself. Chapter 7. The Law of Digital Influence. In previous generations, influence was limited by geography. A person could influence their family, their neighborhood, their workplace, their community, their city. Today, a single message can reach the entire world. A video created in a living room can inspire millions. An idea shared online can cross continents in seconds. A voice once limited by location can now be heard globally. This is one of the defining prosperity realities of the 21st century. Influence has become scalable. This gives rise to a new prosperity principle. The greater your positive influence, the greater your potential opportunity. Influence is not merely popularity. It is not fame. It is not attention for attention's sake. True influence is the ability to affect thought, behavior, decisions, or outcomes in a beneficial way. Influence creates value. Value creates opportunity. Opportunity creates prosperity. The sequence is remarkably consistent. The modern economy increasingly rewards those who can communicate effectively. Teachers, authors, creators, entrepreneurs, leaders, consultants, coaches, business owners, professionals, all benefit from influence. The ability to share ideas clearly has become one of the most valuable prosperity skills available. Many people possess valuable knowledge. Few communicate it effectively. Many people possess extraordinary talent. Few know how to make others aware of it. Many people have solutions. Few know how to present them. As a result, countless opportunities remain hidden. The 21st century rewards visibility, not vanity. Visibility, there is a difference. Vanity seeks attention for ego. Visibility seeks exposure for value. The prosperous person understands that value cannot help people if people never discover it. A book cannot transform readers if no one knows it exists. A business cannot serve customers if customers cannot find it. A solution cannot solve problems if no one hears about it. Influence helps value reach those who need it. This is why communication has become such a critical prosperity asset. Every post, every article, every video, every presentation, every conversation, every interaction represents an opportunity to create influence. And influence compounds. One person helps another. That person shares with others. Relationships expand. Networks grow. Opportunities multiply. Influence often creates effects far beyond what can immediately be measured. The digital world has dramatically accelerated this process. A person can build influence without owning a television station, without owning a newspaper, without possessing massive financial resources. A smartphone and an internet connection can provide access to global audiences. This is one of the most extraordinary prosperity developments in human history. Yet many people fail to recognize it. They consume more than they create. They observe more than they contribute. They watch opportunities pass rather than participating in them. Prosperity increasingly favors contributors, those who educate, those who inspire, those who solve problems, those who communicate value. The law of digital influence reminds us that every person now possesses the potential to become a publisher, a broadcaster, a teacher, a creator, a leader. The question is whether that potential will be used. Another aspect of influence is trust. Attention may create visibility. Trust creates opportunity. Trust is the true currency of influence. People follow individuals they trust, buy from businesses they trust, support leaders they trust, recommend professionals they trust. Trust transforms attention into prosperity, and trust is built through consistency of message, consistency of character, consistency of value, consistency of service. This is why long-term prosperity rarely belongs to those who seek shortcuts. Shortcuts may create temporary attention. Trust creates lasting influence. Influence also requires authenticity. The digital age makes imitation easy, yet genuine influence comes from originality. People connect with sincerity. They respond to authenticity. They recognize when value emerges from real conviction. Prosperity grows most naturally when influence reflects genuine contribution. One of the most important lessons of modern prosperity is that influence is no longer reserved for a select few. Every person influences someone. Every interaction shapes perception. Every message creates impact. The scale may differ. The principle remains. You are influencing whether you realize it or not. The question becomes, what are you influencing people toward? fear or possibility, scarcity or abundance, conflict or cooperation, limitation or growth? The answers matter because influence magnifies whatever it carries. Prosperity-minded individuals seek to spread value. They understand that helping others grow often contributes to their own growth. Helping others succeed often contributes to their own success. Helping others prosper often contributes to their own prosperity. The digital world has simply amplified this truth. The law of digital influence teaches that modern prosperity is no longer determined solely by what you know. It is increasingly determined by how effectively you communicate what you know. Ideas create value. Communication spreads value. Influence multiplies value. And multiplied value often becomes prosperity. Prosperity principle. In the 21st century, influence is leverage. Share value consistently, build trust intentionally, and opportunities will often follow. Chapter 8. The Law of Imagination. Every advancement in human history was imagined before it was created. Every invention, every masterpiece, every business, every movement, every innovation, every achievement. Someone saw it internally before it appeared externally. This is the law of imagination. Imagination is the workshop of prosperity. Many people view imagination as something reserved for artists, inventors, or children. They consider it entertainment rather than power, fantasy rather than function. Yet imagination is one of the most practical faculties available to human beings. It allows individuals to mentally visit futures that do not yet exist. It enables them to rehearse possibilities before they become realities. It gives form to ideas before they become experiences. The 21st century places extraordinary value on imagination. Technology changes rapidly. Industries evolve constantly. Markets transform unexpectedly. The future increasingly belongs to those who can envision what does not yet exist. Knowledge remains important, but imagination often determines how knowledge is applied. Information tells us what is. Imagination explores what could be. And prosperity frequently emerges from the distance between those two realities. Many people become trapped by visible circumstances. They allow current conditions to define future possibilities. They assume that what exists today determines what can exist tomorrow. Imagination challenges that assumption. It reveals that reality is often more flexible than it appears. Every major breakthrough begins when someone refuses to accept current limitations as permanent boundaries. Before airplanes existed, someone imagined flight. Before smartphones existed, someone imagined instant communication. Before streaming platforms existed, someone imagined global access to media. Before artificial intelligence became mainstream, someone imagined machines capable of learning. Imagination consistently precedes innovation. The same principle applies to personal prosperity. Before a person achieves financial growth, they often imagine a different financial future. Before they improve their health, they imagine greater vitality. Before they build meaningful relationships, they imagine deeper connection. Before they transform their circumstances, they imagine new possibilities. Imagination becomes the blueprint. Action becomes construction. Results become the finished structure. This is why imagination deserves deliberate cultivation. Many people unknowingly use imagination against themselves. They imagine failure. They imagine rejection. They imagine disappointment. They imagine catastrophe. They mentally rehearse outcomes they hope never occur. Then they wonder why fear feels so powerful. The mind often responds emotionally to imagined experiences, whether those experiences are constructive or destructive. This means imagination can become either an ally or an adversary. The prosperous person learns to direct imagination intentionally. They use it as a creative instrument rather than allowing it to operate randomly. They imagine possibilities, solutions, opportunities, growth, contribution, expansion. This does not guarantee immediate results, but it creates mental conditions that support productive action. The 21st century offers unprecedented opportunities for imaginative individuals. Entire industries emerge from ideas. Digital products are created from concepts. Brands are built from vision. Communities are formed around shared imagination. In many cases, physical limitations matter less than creative capacity. The modern economy increasingly rewards those who can think differently, see differently, imagine differently. One of the greatest prosperity advantages a person can develop is the ability to see what others overlook, to recognize opportunities hidden inside challenges, to identify solutions hidden inside problems, to envision futures hidden inside present circumstances. This is the practical power of imagination. It expands perception. Expanded perception creates expanded opportunity. Another important function of imagination is emotional preparation. People often wait until prosperity arrives before allowing themselves to feel prosperous. Yet imagination enables a person to emotionally align with desired outcomes before they fully materialize. An athlete imagines victory. A speaker imagines success. An entrepreneur imagines growth. A creator imagines impact. These mental rehearsals help prepare the mind for future experiences. They create familiarity with success, and familiarity often reduces resistance. The imagination acts as a bridge between possibility and reality. Without imagination, life becomes reactive. With imagination, life becomes creative. This distinction is critical. Reactive individuals allow circumstances to determine their future. Creative individuals use imagination to influence their future. Prosperity favors creators, not merely creators of products, creators of possibilities, creators of solutions, creators of value, creators of new realities. The law of imagination reminds us that the future is first constructed in consciousness. Every achievement begins as an invisible image. Every accomplishment begins as an unseen possibility. Every prosperous life begins with the courage to imagine something greater than present conditions. The world changes because someone imagines it differently. Lives change for the same reason. Prosperity often arrives first as a vision, then as an opportunity, then as a result. The person who learns to use imagination wisely possesses one of the most powerful prosperity tools available, because imagination is not an escape from reality. It is often the birthplace of a new reality. Prosperity principle. What the mind consistently imagines, the life increasingly moves toward. Use imagination as a blueprint for possibility rather than a rehearsal for limitation. Chapter 9. The Law of Prosperous Relationships. There is an ancient proverb that says, "If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together." Whether or not those exact words originated from a single culture is less important than the truth they express. Prosperity has never been a solitary achievement. The greatest inventors had collaborators. The greatest businesses had customers. The greatest leaders had followers. The greatest movements had communities. The greatest fortunes were built through relationships. This is the law of prosperous relationships. Prosperity expands through people. Many individuals spend years improving their skills while neglecting one of the greatest prosperity assets they will ever possess, the quality of their relationships. Knowledge is valuable. Talent is valuable. Hard work is valuable. But relationships often determine where those gifts have the opportunity to flourish. A brilliant idea may remain unnoticed without someone willing to listen. An outstanding product may remain unsold without someone willing to purchase it. A remarkable opportunity may never appear without someone willing to recommend you. The 21st century has not diminished the importance of relationships. It has magnified it. Today, a conversation can begin in one country and become a business partnership in another. A message shared online can introduce two people who eventually create a company together. A podcast interview can lead to a publishing contract. A thoughtful comment on a social media platform can begin a lifelong professional relationship. Technology has changed the speed of connection. It has not changed the law. Prosperity still travels through people. One of the greatest misconceptions about success is the belief that self-made people exist. Certainly, individuals can work independently. They can study alone, build alone, create alone. But no one prospers in complete isolation. Someone buys the product. Someone reads the book. Someone watches the video. Someone opens the door. Someone offers encouragement. Someone provides an opportunity. Prosperity is almost always relational. The modern economy demonstrates this principle every day. Businesses grow because customers trust them. Authors succeed because readers support them. Creators prosper because audiences engage with them. Professionals advance because employers, clients, or partners recognize their value. Even artificial intelligence, automation, and digital systems ultimately exist to serve people. Relationships remain at the center. One of the greatest forms of prosperity capital is trust. Money can be lost and regained. Markets can rise and fall. Technology can become obsolete. Trust, once established, continues creating opportunities long after individual transactions have ended. Trust is accumulated through consistency. People trust those whose words match their actions. They trust those who keep commitments. They trust those who communicate honestly. They trust those who consistently create value. Trust cannot be purchased, it must be earned. And once earned, it becomes one of the greatest prosperity assets a person can possess. The prosperous individual understands this. They recognize that every interaction either strengthens or weakens trust. Every promise kept strengthens credibility. Every promise broken weakens it. This is why integrity is not merely a moral principle. It is a prosperity principle. Character creates confidence. Confidence creates trust. Trust creates opportunity. Opportunity creates prosperity. The sequence appears repeatedly throughout life. The 21st century has introduced another important concept: relationship equity. Relationship equity is the goodwill you build with people over time. It cannot be measured on a financial statement. July 1st, 2026, 5:16 p.m. Sly Corley. Yet it often becomes more valuable than financial capital itself. People with strong relationship equity receive referrals, recommendations, invitations, collaborations, introductions, partnerships. These opportunities frequently appear because people remember how they were treated. Kindness compounds, respect compounds, reliability compounds, generosity compounds. Every positive interaction becomes a small deposit into the account of relationship equity. Over time, those deposits accumulate into remarkable opportunities. Another characteristic of prosperous relationships is mutual benefit. Healthy relationships are not built upon manipulation. They are built upon contribution. Many people enter relationships asking, "What can I receive?" The prosperous person asks, "How can I contribute?" This simple shift transforms relationships. Contribution creates appreciation. Appreciation creates trust. Trust creates cooperation. Cooperation creates prosperity. People naturally enjoy working with those who consistently make their lives better. The law of value creation discussed earlier applies beautifully to relationships. Become valuable, become dependable, become encouraging, become resourceful, become someone whose presence improves the environment. The marketplace rewards value. Relationships do as well. One of the defining characteristics of the 21st century is connectivity. Never before have so many people been accessible. Social media, professional networks, online communities, virtual conferences, digital classrooms, video platforms. The opportunities for meeting extraordinary people have never been greater. Ironically, meaningful relationships have become more valuable precisely because superficial connections have become so common. Having thousands of online followers does not necessarily mean having meaningful relationships. A large contact list is not the same as a trusted network. Prosperity grows through authentic connection, not merely digital proximity. This requires intentionality, listening more than speaking, serving before asking, learning before teaching, understanding before persuading. The strongest relationships are rarely rushed. Like prosperity itself, they grow through consistent investment. Another aspect of prosperous relationships is emotional maturity. No relationship is free from misunderstanding. Disagreements occur. Expectations differ. Communication occasionally fails. The prosperous person learns how to navigate conflict with wisdom. They refuse to allow pride to destroy valuable relationships. They seek understanding before judgment, solutions before blame, growth before resentment. Emotional intelligence often determines whether relationships survive challenges or collapse beneath them. One emotionally immature decision can destroy years of trust. One wise conversation can preserve decades of opportunity. The 21st century increasingly rewards emotional intelligence because collaboration has become essential. The age of the isolated expert is fading. The age of collaborative excellence has arrived. Teams outperform individuals. Communities outperform isolation. Partnerships outperform competition alone. Prosperity increasingly belongs to those who know how to work well with others. This does not eliminate healthy competition. Competition encourages excellence, but cooperation creates multiplication. Two people working together often accomplish far more than either could alone. This is why successful organizations invest heavily in culture. Successful families invest heavily in communication. Successful leaders invest heavily in people. They understand that relationships are not distractions from prosperity. They are vehicles of prosperity. Your environment also deserves careful attention. Relationships shape expectations. Expectations shape behavior. Behavior shapes results. Spend enough time with people who believe growth is impossible and discouragement becomes normal. Spend enough time with people committed to learning, serving, creating, and improving, and those qualities begin influencing your own life. This is not about judging others. It is about recognizing the power of influence. Every relationship leaves an imprint. Choose your closest influences wisely. The digital age has also expanded the importance of personal reputation. Your reputation now extends beyond face-to-face interactions. Your communication, your professionalism, your online presence, your consistency, your character. Together, they create an impression that often reaches people before you do. Guard your reputation carefully. It takes years to build and moments to damage. A good reputation opens doors that money cannot buy. Another prosperity principle is appreciation. People thrive where appreciation is expressed. Employees, customers, friends, family members, business partners. Everyone wants to know that their contribution matters. A sincere expression of gratitude often strengthens relationships more than expensive gifts or impressive speeches. Never underestimate the prosperity power of genuine appreciation. relationships also require reciprocity. Healthy relationships involve giving and receiving, teaching and learning, supporting and being supported, encouraging and being encouraged. Prosperity flourishes where value flows in both directions. The person who continually contributes without expecting immediate return often discovers that life has remarkable ways of returning value through unexpected channels. This is not manipulation. It is circulation. It is one of the fundamental prosperity laws operating through human relationships. As this book has demonstrated repeatedly, prosperity is never merely financial. One of the wealthiest people in the world may still be poor in relationships. Loneliness cannot be solved by income alone. Distrust cannot be solved by possessions alone. Isolation cannot be solved by success alone. True prosperity includes rich relationships, meaningful friendships, strong families, healthy partnerships, communities built upon trust. These are forms of wealth that cannot be measured on a balance sheet, yet they often become the foundation upon which every other form of prosperity is built. The Law of Prosperous Relationships teaches that every person you meet represents more than a transaction. They represent a possibility, a lesson, an opportunity, a partnership, a friendship, a source of encouragement, or someone whose life you may positively influence. Prosperity grows where people grow together. It expands where trust is cultivated. It multiplies where value is exchanged. And it flourishes where relationships are treated as treasures rather than tools. In the 21st century, technology may connect us faster than ever before, but timeless prosperity still depends upon timeless relationships, because behind every meaningful opportunity, there is a person. Prosperity principle. Prosperity travels through people. Build trust, create value, invest in relationships, and opportunities will often find you through the lives you enrich. Chapter 10. The Law of Stewardship. Many people focus on how to acquire prosperity. Far fewer focus on how to manage it. Yet one of the most important prosperity truths is this: what you cannot manage, you cannot multiply. This is the law of stewardship. Prosperity does not merely require creation. It requires management. It requires responsibility. It requires wisdom. It requires discipline. A person may receive an opportunity and lose it, receive money and waste it, receive influence and misuse it, receive success and mismanage it. The ability to receive prosperity is important. The ability to steward prosperity is essential. Throughout history, prosperity has often flowed toward individuals who demonstrated responsibility with what they already possessed. A farmer who properly manages a small field is more prepared for a larger field. A business owner who wisely manages a small operation is more prepared for expansion. A leader who effectively manages a small team is more prepared for greater responsibility. Stewardship creates capacity, and capacity attracts increase. Many people ask, why am I not receiving more? A useful question is, what am I doing with what I already have? This question shifts attention from acquisition to responsibility. Prosperity frequently grows where responsibility grows. The 21st century offers unprecedented opportunities for prosperity, yet it also offers unprecedented opportunities for distraction, streaming entertainment, social media, constant notifications, unlimited content, endless consumption. These forces compete for attention every day, and attention is one of the most valuable assets a person possesses. This means stewardship is no longer limited to money. Modern prosperity requires stewardship of attention, energy, time, focus, relationships, knowledge, health, resources. Every resource entrusted to you requires management. Consider time. Every person receives the same 24 hours each day. The difference is not availability. The difference is stewardship. Some people invest time. Others spend time. Others waste time. The outcomes naturally differ. Time invested in learning creates knowledge. Time invested in health creates vitality. Time invested in relationships creates connection. Time invested in value creation creates opportunity. Prosperity often reflects how resources are managed long before it reflects how resources are acquired. Money operates according to the same principle. Many individuals believe more money would solve all financial problems. Sometimes it helps, but money often magnifies existing habits. Good habits become more visible. Poor habits become more visible. Financial prosperity without financial stewardship can become temporary. Stewardship transforms temporary prosperity into sustainable prosperity. This is why budgeting, planning, investing, and intentional spending remain valuable. Not because money should be worshipped, but because money should be directed. Resources flow most effectively when guided intentionally. The law of stewardship also applies to knowledge. The modern world provides extraordinary access to information. Yet information alone creates little prosperity. Applied knowledge creates prosperity. Many people consume information continuously, but implement very little. They accumulate ideas without creating results. The prosperous person learns, applies, adjusts, improves. Knowledge becomes valuable when transformed into action. Another area requiring stewardship is health. Health is one of the foundational assets of prosperity. Without energy, opportunities become difficult to pursue. Without vitality, goals become harder to achieve. Without wellness, success becomes more difficult to enjoy. The 21st century often glorifies productivity while neglecting health. Yet sustainable prosperity requires both. A person who stewards their health increases their capacity for every other area of life. The same principle applies to relationships. Trust must be maintained. Communication must be maintained. Connection must be maintained. Many relationships fail not because of dramatic events, but because stewardship disappears. Neglect eventually produces decline. Attention produces growth. This pattern appears throughout life. What is neglected tends to weaken. What is nurtured tends to strengthen. Stewardship is ultimately about honoring value. It is the recognition that resources deserve intentional management. Whether those resources are money, time, opportunities, relationships, talents, health, or influence. The prosperous person understands that abundance is not measured solely by what enters their life. It is measured by what remains, grows, and multiplies because of wise management. This law becomes increasingly important as prosperity expands. Small resources require stewardship. Large resources require even greater stewardship. Growth without management often creates instability. Growth with stewardship creates sustainability. The 21st century rewards those who can manage complexity, multiple income streams, digital assets, global opportunities, expanding networks, increasing information. All require stewardship. The person who develops this skill possesses a powerful prosperity advantage, because prosperity is not merely attracted, it is maintained, and maintenance requires stewardship. The law of stewardship teaches that increase follows responsibility. The more effectively you manage what you have, the greater your capacity becomes, and greater capacity often invites greater prosperity. Prosperity principle. Prosperity grows where responsibility grows. Manage wisely what you already possess, and you prepare yourself for greater increase. Chapter 11. The Law of Multiplication. One of the greatest prosperity secrets is that abundance rarely grows through addition alone. It grows through multiplication. This is the law of multiplication. Prosperity accelerates when value, effort, and resources are leveraged intelligently. Most people think in terms of earning. Prosperous people eventually learn to think in terms of multiplying. There is nothing wrong with earning. Every prosperous journey begins there. But prosperity reaches another level when a person learns how to create results that continue producing value beyond the initial effort. A farmer understands this principle. One seed becomes many seeds. One harvest creates future harvests. Nature itself operates through multiplication. The same principle governs prosperity. The 21st century has become the age of leverage. Technology allows one effort to reach millions. A book can be sold thousands of times. A video can be viewed indefinitely. A software application can serve countless users. A course can educate people around the world. A single idea can generate opportunities for decades. Never before has multiplication been more accessible. Yet many people remain trapped in the mindset of exchange rather than multiplication. They exchange hours for dollars, effort for income, time for compensation. This approach can provide stability. But multiplication creates expansion. Expansion creates prosperity. The difference lies in leverage. Leverage simply means achieving greater results from a single investment of effort, knowledge, capital, or influence. For example, a person teaches one student. That creates value. A person creates a course that teaches 10,000 students. That creates multiplication. A person serves one customer. That creates income. A system serving 10,000 customers creates multiplication. A person writes advice repeatedly. That creates contribution. A book delivering that advice for years creates multiplication. The 21st century rewards leverage because technology amplifies reach. Ideas can travel instantly. Products can be distributed globally. Services can scale digitally. Influence can spread exponentially. This has fundamentally changed the prosperity landscape. Yet the law itself remains timeless. Multiplication has always existed. Technology has simply accelerated it. Another important aspect of multiplication is systems. Many people focus entirely on effort. Effort matters. But systems multiply effort. Without systems, prosperity often remains dependent upon constant personal labor. With systems, prosperity gains momentum. A system can be as simple as a process, a routine, a habit, a business model, a workflow, an investment strategy, a content platform, a team structure. Systems create consistency. Consistency creates predictability. Predictability creates growth. Growth creates multiplication. This principle applies beyond finances. Relationships multiply. Knowledge multiplies. Skills multiply. Influence multiplies. Health habits multiply. Small actions repeated consistently often create extraordinary outcomes over time. This is why prosperity frequently appears gradual before it appears dramatic. The first seed becomes a plant. The plant produces fruit. The fruit contains many seeds. The multiplication appears slow initially. Then suddenly it accelerates. Many people quit during the early stages because they do not recognize the power of compounding. Compounding is multiplication over time. A dollar invested can grow. A skill practiced can grow. A relationship nurtured can grow. A habit repeated can grow. The effect may seem insignificant at first. Then the results begin to accelerate. This is one reason patience remains a prosperity virtue. The modern world celebrates immediate results. Multiplication often rewards sustained commitment. Those who understand compounding think differently. They focus less on immediate outcomes and more on long-term trajectories. They ask, "What can I build today that continues creating value tomorrow?" This question changes everything. It shifts attention from consumption to creation. from survival to expansion, from maintenance to growth. Another dimension of multiplication is collaboration. One person can accomplish much. Multiple people aligned around a common vision can accomplish exponentially more. This is why businesses scale, why teams succeed, why partnerships prosper, why communities thrive. Multiplication frequently occurs when individual strengths combine. The 21st century has created unprecedented opportunities for collaborative multiplication. People can work together globally, build together digitally, create together virtually. Distance no longer limits cooperation the way it once did. This creates extraordinary prosperity potential. Yet multiplication also requires stewardship. Without wisdom, growth can create chaos. Without structure, expansion can create instability. Without responsibility, prosperity can become unsustainable. This is why the law of multiplication follows the law of stewardship. First learn to manage, then learn to multiply. The sequence matters. One of the most powerful realizations a person can have is this: you do not become prosperous solely by working harder. You become prosperous by learning how to create greater value through leverage, systems, relationships, and intelligent expansion. The world increasingly rewards this understanding. The person who masters multiplication can produce results far beyond individual effort alone. The law of multiplication teaches that prosperity is not designed merely to grow. It is designed to expand, to reproduce, to compound, to increase. Every seed carries the potential for a harvest larger than itself. Every idea carries the potential for influence larger than itself. Every act of value carries the potential for prosperity larger than itself. The question is not whether multiplication exists. The question is whether you are positioning yourself to participate in it. Prosperity. Principle. Prosperity accelerates through leverage, systems, and compounding. Think beyond earning and begin building what can multiply. Chapter 12. The Law of Generational Prosperity. The highest expression of prosperity is not what you accumulate during your lifetime. It is what continues because you lived. This is the law of generational prosperity. True prosperity outlives the person who creates it. Many people spend their lives focused exclusively on immediate needs, monthly bills, current obligations, short-term goals. There is nothing wrong with meeting today's responsibilities. In fact, stewardship requires it. But prosperity reaches its fullest expression when it extends beyond the present moment. The prosperous person eventually begins asking a different question. Not merely, how can I improve my life? But, how can I improve the lives of those who come after me? This shift changes everything. It transforms prosperity from personal gain into lasting impact, from accumulation into contribution, from temporary success into enduring significance. The 21st century offers unprecedented opportunities to create a legacy. Previous generations often passed down land, businesses, savings, property. These remain valuable. But modern prosperity includes additional assets, knowledge, intellectual property, digital assets, systems, content, brands, communities, ideas, influence. A single book can impact generations. A business can outlive its founder. A teaching can transform thousands of lives. A digital asset can continue creating value long after it is created. The opportunities for generational impact have never been greater. Yet many people never think beyond immediate prosperity. They focus solely on income, rarely on inheritance. They focus on earnings, rarely on legacy. They focus on consumption, rarely on contribution. As a result, prosperity often begins and ends with a single generation. The law of generational prosperity encourages a broader vision. It asks us to think beyond ourselves. beyond our current circumstances, beyond our immediate desires. Prosperity becomes far more powerful when it serves future generations. One of the greatest forms of inheritance is mindset. A child raised with prosperity, consciousness receives an extraordinary advantage, not because wealth is guaranteed, but because possibility is normalized. The child learns opportunities exist, value matters, responsibility matters, growth is possible, contribution creates reward, challenges can be overcome. These beliefs become invisible assets, and invisible assets often create visible prosperity. Conversely, scarcity can also be inherited. Fear can be inherited. Limitation can be inherited, not genetically, conditionally, through repeated ideas and expectations. This is why prosperity education matters. The greatest inheritance may not be money, it may be perspective. A person who inherits prosperity, thinking possesses a resource that can generate wealth repeatedly. A person who inherits wealth without prosperity, thinking often struggles to maintain it. History provides countless examples. This is why character remains central to prosperity. Integrity, discipline, responsibility, vision, stewardship. These qualities create sustainability. Without them, prosperity can disappear. With them, prosperity can endure. The 21st century has also revealed the growing importance of intellectual legacy. Many individuals are creating resources that continue serving others indefinitely. Books, courses, videos, businesses, technologies, organizations, educational systems. The modern world allows value to be preserved and distributed at scale. This creates extraordinary opportunities for impact. Prosperity becomes larger than personal benefit. It becomes service extended across time. Another aspect of generational prosperity is community. No individual thrives entirely alone. Strong families create stronger communities. Strong communities create stronger opportunities. Strong opportunities create broader prosperity. The prosperous person recognizes that lifting others ultimately strengthens everyone. This understanding transforms prosperity from a competitive pursuit into a collaborative contribution. Generational prosperity also requires vision. Vision sees beyond immediate gratification. It sees future possibilities, future opportunities, future outcomes. It asks, what seeds am I planting today that others may harvest tomorrow? Every meaningful legacy begins with this question. The farmer plants trees, knowing future generations may enjoy the shade. The teacher shares wisdom, knowing future students may benefit. The builder creates structures, knowing others may use them. The creator develops resources, knowing others may learn from them. Prosperity becomes enduring when it is designed to outlast the creator. One of the most profound truths about prosperity is that abundance expands through contribution. The more people your life benefits, the greater the potential impact of your prosperity. This does not require fame or wealth beyond imagination, or global recognition. It simply requires intention, the intention to leave something better than you found it, the intention to create value that endures, the intention to pass forward opportunities rather than merely consume them. The law of generational prosperity teaches that prosperity reaches its highest form when it becomes legacy, not merely what you earn, not merely what you own, but what continues because you were here. At the end of life, the most important measure of prosperity may not be the size of your possessions. It may be the size of your contribution, the lives you influenced, the opportunities you created, the wisdom you shared, the value you left behind. That is prosperity in its most enduring form. That is prosperity that transcends time. That is generational prosperity. Prosperity. Principle. The greatest prosperity is not what you leave to future generations, but what you leave in future generations. Epilogue: Prosperity Consciousness for a New Age. The dynamic laws of prosperity have never been about money alone. Money is simply one expression of a much deeper principle. Prosperity is expansion, growth, increase, expression, contribution. It is life moving toward greater fullness. Throughout this book, you have discovered that prosperity is not an accident. It is not luck. It is not reserved for a fortunate few. It is the result of aligning with principles that have always governed growth and abundance. The tools of the 21st century are new. The laws are timeless. Thought still shapes direction. Expectation still influences outcomes. Value still creates opportunity. Circulation still generates increase. Gratitude still expands awareness. Faith still requires action. Influence still multiplies impact. Imagination still creates possibilities. Relationships still open doors. Stewardship still preserves growth. Multiplication still rewards leverage. Legacy still defines significance. The world will continue to change. Technologies will evolve. Industries will rise and fall. Economic systems will transform. But these laws will remain, because they are rooted not in trends, but in principles. The greatest prosperity revolution of the 21st century is not occurring in technology. It is occurring in consciousness. People are beginning to recognize that their most valuable asset is not external. It is internal. Their thoughts, their beliefs, their imagination, their character, their capacity to create value, their willingness to contribute, their ability to align with prosperity itself. Prosperity is not something you chase. It is something you cultivate. Like a garden, it grows where conditions support growth. The seeds are planted in consciousness. The harvest appears in experience. As you move forward, remember this: you already possess the greatest prosperity resource available: your ability to think, to imagine, to choose, to act, to create, to contribute, to grow. Everything else flows from there. The future belongs to those who understand that prosperity is not merely about having more. It is about becoming more aware, more valuable, more responsible, more generous, more creative, more aligned with the laws that govern abundance. May these principles guide your decisions. May they strengthen your vision. May they expand your opportunities. May they increase your capacity to create value. And may they remind you that prosperity is not a destination. It is a way of living, a way of thinking, a way of contributing, a way of becoming. The laws are timeless. The opportunities are endless. The future is unwritten. And prosperity is waiting for expression through you. The journey continues. A bonus chapter. The Prosperity Formula. After studying all 12 dynamic laws of prosperity, a natural question arises. If these laws work together, what is the formula? Is there a sequence, a pattern, a process, a practical way to apply these principles every day? The answer is yes. Prosperity is not created by a single law operating alone. It emerges when multiple laws begin working together. Just as a garden requires sunlight, water, soil, seed, and time, prosperity requires the cooperation of several principles. When understood collectively, the dynamic laws of prosperity reveal a simple formula. Thought leads to expectation, leads to action, leads to value, leads to multiplication, leads to prosperity. Everything begins with thought. Thought creates direction. Direction creates expectation. Expectation influences behavior. Behavior produces action. Action creates value. Value attracts opportunity. Opportunity creates multiplication. Multiplication produces prosperity. The sequence appears repeatedly throughout life. A person first imagines a possibility, then begins expecting it. Expectation influences decisions. Decisions create action. Action creates value. Value generates opportunities. Opportunities expand into prosperity. The process may appear simple, yet most people interrupt it somewhere along the way. Some never move beyond thought. They dream but never act. Others act without expectation. They work hard but secretly anticipate failure. Others create value but fail to steward it. Others achieve prosperity but never multiply it. Others multiply prosperity but never convert it into legacy. The laws work best together. This is why prosperity must be viewed as a system rather than an event. Prosperity is not a single breakthrough. It is a sequence of aligned principles producing predictable results over time. The 21st century has dramatically accelerated this process. A person can imagine an idea today, create content tomorrow, reach thousands next week, build a business next year, and leave a legacy for future generations. Technology has compressed time, but it has not changed the laws. The laws remain exactly the same. Thought still precedes creation. Value still attracts reward. Relationships still create opportunity. Stewardship still protects growth. Faith still requires action. The principles remain timeless because they are rooted in how life itself operates. One of the greatest prosperity misconceptions is the belief that abundance belongs only to extraordinary people. History reveals something different. Prosperity often belongs to ordinary people who consistently apply extraordinary principles. They think differently, expect differently, act differently, persist differently, manage differently, serve differently, and eventually live differently. The difference is rarely luck. The difference is alignment. Alignment with principles that govern increase. Throughout this book, prosperity has been described as more than money. This distinction is important. A person may have financial wealth while lacking peace. They may possess influence while lacking fulfillment. They may achieve success while lacking purpose. True prosperity is holistic. It includes wealth, but it also includes wisdom, health, relationships, purpose, contribution, freedom, and inner peace. Prosperity becomes sustainable when every dimension of life grows together. The prosperous person eventually realizes that abundance is not merely about receiving, it is about becoming. Becoming more disciplined, more valuable, more creative, more responsible, more generous, more capable, more aligned with life itself. The remarkable truth is that prosperity is not something external attempting to avoid you. Prosperity is a natural consequence of growth. As you expand your value, prosperity expands. As you expand your contribution, prosperity expands. As you expand your awareness, prosperity expands. As you expand your capacity, prosperity expands. This is why prosperity remains available regardless of circumstances. Economic conditions change, markets change, technology changes, industries change. Yet the individual who understands prosperity principles can adapt, because prosperity ultimately begins from within. The future will belong to those who can combine timeless wisdom with modern opportunity, those who can think clearly, create value, build trust, leverage technology, serve others, and continue growing. The dynamic laws of prosperity are not merely ideas to admire. They are principles to practice, not once, not occasionally, but consistently. For prosperity is not created by occasional action. It is created by daily alignment. The formula is simple. Think expansively, expect favorably, act courageously, create value, multiply wisely, contribute generously, and steward responsibly. Do this long enough, and prosperity ceases to be something you seek. It becomes something you express. Final prosperity. Principle: prosperity is not what happens to you. Prosperity is what happens through you when you align your thoughts, actions, values, and contributions with the timeless laws of increase. Appendix A. The 21st Century Prosperity Manifesto. Prosperity is my natural state. I do not chase prosperity. I align with it. I understand that prosperity is not merely money. It is the expansion of life expressing itself through me. I recognize that my thoughts influence my direction. My expectations influence my actions. My actions influence my results. Therefore, I choose my thoughts carefully. I expect opportunities. I expect growth. I expect solutions. I expect increase. I refuse to allow temporary conditions to define permanent possibilities. I understand that value creates prosperity. Each day I seek ways to contribute, to solve problems, to improve lives, to create value that benefits others and expands opportunity. I recognize that prosperity flows through circulation. I willingly share knowledge, encouragement, kindness, support, resources, and value. I trust that life responds to intelligent contribution. I practice gratitude daily, not because life is perfect, but because gratitude reveals abundance that already exists. I appreciate progress. I appreciate opportunity. I appreciate growth. I appreciate possibility. I move with faith. I act when action is required. I refuse to remain trapped by fear, hesitation, or endless preparation. I understand that prosperity rewards movement. I use modern tools wisely. Technology serves my vision. It does not control my attention. I use digital influence responsibly. I seek to educate, inspire, serve, and contribute. I understand that attention is valuable and influence carries responsibility. I cultivate imagination. I see possibilities where others see limitations. I envision solutions where others see problems. I understand that every creation begins as a mental image. I invest in relationships. I build trust. I communicate honestly. I cooperate generously. I understand that prosperity frequently travels through people. I practice stewardship. I manage my time wisely, my energy wisely, my finances wisely, my opportunities wisely, my influence wisely. I recognize that what is managed well can multiply. I think beyond earning. I think in terms of creating systems, building assets, developing leverage, creating lasting value. I understand that prosperity grows through multiplication. I think beyond myself. I think beyond today. I think beyond immediate gratification. I seek to create a legacy that benefits future generations. I understand that true prosperity is measured not only by what I receive, but by what I leave behind. I release scarcity. I release limitation. I release fear. I release the belief that prosperity belongs only to others. I accept abundance. I accept opportunity. I accept growth. I accept responsibility. I accept prosperity as a natural expression of a life aligned with universal principles. I understand that prosperity is not luck. It is not chance. It is not accident. It is alignment. And beginning today, I choose alignment. I choose growth. I choose contribution. I choose abundance. I choose prosperity. Because prosperity is not something outside of me. Prosperity is something expressing itself through me, and I allow it to flow freely. Appendix B. The Daily Prosperity Practice. Morning. Before checking your phone, social media, email, or news, sit quietly for 5 minutes. Ask yourself, what value will I create today? What opportunities might appear today? Who can I help today? What am I grateful for today? Begin the day from creation rather than reaction. Midday. Pause for 60 seconds. Review your focus. Ask, am I operating from prosperity or scarcity? Am I focused on solutions or problems? Am I creating value or merely consuming information? Reset if necessary. Continue intentionally. Evening before sleep. List 3 things that went well. List 1 lesson learned. List 1 opportunity you will pursue tomorrow. Allow gratitude and possibility to become the final thoughts of the day. Weekly review. Your goals, your finances, your relationships, your health, your value creation, your opportunities. Ask, what is growing? What requires attention? What can be improved? Monthly evaluate your progress through the 12 laws: thought expectation, value creation, circulation, gratitude, faith in action, digital influence, imagination, prosperous relationships, stewardship, multiplication, generational prosperity. Identify your strongest law. Identify your weakest law. Then commit to strengthening the weakest one. Because prosperity grows wherever awareness and action work together. Closing reflection. The dynamic laws of prosperity are not theories. They are practices, not concepts, habits, not information, transformation. The person who merely reads these principles may be inspired. The person who lives them will be changed. The 21st century belongs to those who can combine timeless wisdom with modern opportunity. May you think boldly, act courageously, create generously, steward wisely, multiply intentionally, and prosper abundantly, for the laws remain constant, and their greatest expression is still ahead of you. Author's final message, a personal word to the reader. If you have read this far, I want to congratulate you, not because you finished a book, but because you made an investment in yourself. In a world filled with distractions, investing in personal growth remains one of the most prosperous decisions a person can make. The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity, 21st Century Edition, was written for one purpose: to remind you that prosperity is not reserved for a select few. It never was. Prosperity is not determined by where you started. It is not determined by your age, your education, your past mistakes, your current circumstances, or the opinions of others. Prosperity begins the moment you decide to align yourself with principles that create growth. Every prosperous life begins with a decision to think differently, a decision to expect differently, a decision to act differently, a decision to become something greater than yesterday's version of yourself. That decision belongs to you. No government can make it for you. No economy can make it for you. No technology can make it for you. No teacher can make it for you. The decision must come from within. You possess more potential than you realize, more creativity than you realize, more opportunity than you realize, more value than you realize. Most people underestimate themselves because they evaluate their future according to their present circumstances. But your future is not hidden in your circumstances. It is hidden in your potential, and potential becomes reality through consistent application. Not dramatic effort, consistent effort. Not occasional inspiration, daily alignment. Not wishful thinking, purposeful action. Remember, the world rewards value. The world rewards contribution. The world rewards solutions. The world rewards persistence. The world rewards those who continue moving when others stop. Every law in this book ultimately points toward one central truth. Prosperity is growth. Growth of thought, growth of character, growth of contribution, growth of influence, growth of stewardship, growth of responsibility, growth of service, growth of abundance. As you continue your journey, there will be moments when progress feels slow, moments when results seem delayed, moments when challenges appear larger than opportunities. In those moments, remember the farmer. The farmer plants long before the harvest appears. The seed spends time beneath the surface, invisible, unseen. yet growth is occurring. The same principle often applies to prosperity. Not every result appears immediately. Not every opportunity arrives instantly. Not every breakthrough occurs overnight. But every aligned action matters. Every valuable contribution matters. Every disciplined decision matters. Every prosperity-minded thought matters. The harvest may not appear today, but seeds planted consistently eventually produce results. Trust the process. Continue creating value. Continue growing. Continue contributing. Continue believing. Continue acting. And above all, continue becoming. The 21st century will belong to those who can adapt without losing principle. Those who can embrace innovation without abandoning wisdom. Those who can use technology without becoming controlled by it. Those who can create value in a rapidly changing world. Those who can remain prosperous in consciousness, regardless of circumstances. May you become one of those people. May prosperity expand through your life. May abundance flow through your work. May your influence benefit others. May your legacy outlive you. And may these dynamic laws of prosperity become not merely something you read, but something you live. The future is not waiting to happen. The future is waiting to be created. Go create it. You have been listening to Catherine Ponder's Dynamic Laws of Prosperity, brought to you by Reimagine Audio. Thank you for listening. Please like and share.